Hi, good afternoon. Welcome, everybody. Thanks for
So,
joining us. Hi, we've got Nolan on as well. We'll wait about 1 minute to get started here. Most people are coming back from lunch, so we have a lot of people trickle in. We had a lot of signups for this one, and looks like a big attendance. So thanks again for coming out. The great question that is New Outlook. Hopefully we can shed some light on it for you today. For some reason, it's allowing folks to unmute themselves. I will ask if you could just try to keep your mic muted. We will continue to mute throughout. I'm not sure why the Teams presentation is allowing that, so I apologize if there's any background noise. We'll try to jump on it. Nolan, if you could just keep an eye on that on the attendees
yeah,
list.
for
You'll
sure.
see there's a mute all button, although actually it looks like it's been enforced, so I think we're okay.
Yeah, I
Well, let's
think
get started.
default is.
Yeah. So thanks again for joining us. And huge shout out to Karen at Taloma for suggesting this topic. New Outlook is something that I think is in all of our faces, and a lot of people are asking, "What's the deal? Why New Outlook and all that kind of stuff." So hopefully we can shed some light on it for you today and give you a few just starting tips for New Outlook. This is the 30-minute webinar. I'll probably try to get through the content in about 20 minutes. We have a Q&A function as well as a chat function in Teams here. If you do have any questions, feel free to post them in the chat. This is a recorded webinar, so please don't post anything sensitive. Everybody can see it. Feel free to reach out to us directly afterwards. I'll post our contact info if you do have follow-up questions. The Q&A can sometimes be great, though. It's just like being in school. If you're thinking it, probably everybody else is, so feel free to pose the question. Just a quick reminder, this is LSO accredited professionalism hours, so make sure you're counting your time today towards that. Again, just to introduce myself, my name is Colin Pierce. I'm the founder and CFO of Inderly. We're an IT company that services exclusively law firms in Ontario. We're also joined today by Nolan Witkowski, who's our CEO. The presentation will be given by me. Nolan, however, is on the front lines with the IT stuff every day and dealing with New Outlook and all that good stuff. So a lot of the content was thanks to him, and he may pop in if there's any gaps that I've missed. So again, New Outlook, why New Outlook, should be New Outlook, all that kind of stuff. What I'm going to mostly cover today is getting you set up on, if you do press that little button in the top right corner of your Outlook to try the New Outlook, the first couple steps to take to get it working for you. So this is driven by the most common requests that we've received at Inderly about, hey, where did this go? What's going on? Why does this exist? So I'll do a quick background to start, and this won't get in too much because it's kind of a political and technological tale of intrigue, but why is there a New Outlook? So without getting into the internal politics of Microsoft, which are, if you have some spare time and want to read about other people's problems, they are absolutely wild, and it's a great kind of fun, almost soap opera to dig into. So aside from their internal politics, ostensibly, the reason why there's a New Outlook is to rewrite the code base. And we all know that Outlook has been around for almost as long as computers have, and it's got great backwards compatibility vis-a-vis, there's still plugins working for PC Law and stuff like that. So at some point, they decided, look, we need to make a new one. And the main goal with the new one is have a new code base, so it's faster. It'll work on newer devices such as ARM-powered devices, ultra portables, stuff like that with better battery life. This is kind of stuff that's coming down the pipe in the next 5 to 10 years. So they're preparing for that. And then the main, I think, design drive behind it is to more closely integrate the experience of Outlook, no matter how you're using it. So everybody here has probably used webmail at some point in a pinch, or maybe use it all the time. Great. They want Outlook essentially to be the same experience as webmail. They want companies that write plugins for Outlook to write them in a manner that will also work on webmail. They want it to be able to possibly integrate with your Android device, your iOS device, all that good stuff. So the new code base allows them much more flexibility and much more standardization. And one of the themes you're going to see with the features that I'm going to tell you about is that it does integrate a little bit more tightly with Office 365 and things that previously only happened in Outlook, now happen on the server side, and a couple good things like that. I will note that this presentation is geared around people that are using Office 365 and Outlook as part of that. If you are just using Outlook for your Gmail address, a lot of this stuff won't apply. But like I think probably almost everybody that's on this webinar is probably using Office 365. It's completely ubiquitous in this field. So the first thing that we get when people switch to New Outlook is, where did my Zoom links go? They're no longer along the top bar. There's no new meeting button right there. So the first thing you'll have to do, depending on how your IT is managed, is you may need to go and add the Zoom add-in yourself. So and this is one of the core things of Outlook, is add-ins no longer necessarily need to be installed as a program. You don't have to be an administrator to do it. You don't have to contact your IT company to add a plugin into Outlook. Your IT company may be blocking them, and for good reason, but by default, you can add stuff in yourself. So for the vast majority of people, they're going to switch to New Outlook, they're going to say, where's my Zoom? And they're going to switch back because Zoom's gone, and I don't blame you. If you do want to try it out and you want to keep going with Zoom and the New Outlook, click the Home tab. There's a Get Add-ins button, search for Zoom and add it in. And you will now find Zoom on the Calendars tab when you go to create a calendar item. So I've got a screenshot here of where to find it. Again, the icons are kind of different and not necessarily intuitive, but that's your little apps icon on the bottom left that I've done a very janky red circle around. And again, you could just search for Zoom. Both the extensions work, the Zoom for Outlook extension and Zoom. They are, as of at least yesterday, completely identical. I don't know why there's two. Choose whichever one you prefer. They'll both do the same thing. Once you have that installed, again, you'll see the typical Zoom stuff that you would be used to seeing when you go to create a calendar item. The next thing we highly recommend to set up, if you haven't set this up, and again, there's other ways to set this up in your Office 365 system outside of Outlook, but if you haven't already delved into bookings and Outlook on the web, and all that good stuff, I highly recommend that you start taking advantage of the tight integration of availability, office hours, and bookings. And all this can be done through the new Outlook. It's quite slick how it all ties together now. So mark the days and the times that you're in the office or not in the office, or when you want to respond to email, and most importantly, when you want to be sending emails, by going to settings, calendar, and then you can put work hours and location. The location bit is optional. If you have a large team or multiple offices, it can be quite useful. It probably isn't that useful for just from a client-facing perspective, but again, it's great if you are in one office 2 days a week and another office another couple days. You can put that in, and then other folks on your team can see where you're working from. This is really great because it's going to tie into a couple other features, such as send later. But one of the features that I'm not going to get into really deeply here, but that I absolutely live by, is the Microsoft Bookings feature. This isn't Outlook specifically, but I love it so much I just have to mention it on almost any webinar I do about Office 365. Check out Microsoft Bookings. If you go to portal.office.com, sign in with your Office 365 login, you can create a bookings link. You can create a bookings page, and that will tie into your working hours, and it will tie into your availability on your calendar. So essentially, if anybody here has used Calendly or Calendar Bridge or anything like that, it's exactly that. It's just native to Office 365, so it's one less service you have to worry about, one less thing you have to pay for. It's all integrated there. And again, it will set your availability for your booking link based on your working hours, as well as if you have something in your calendar, that time slot would not be available for someone to book. So I have, in 2 years, 3 years since I've started using this, I blissfully have not had to do the email back and forth dance of, are you available at 2 on Thursday? No. Okay, what about 4 on Friday, et cetera, et cetera. We just send a link, somebody picks a time, life is good. You can also integrate this stuff into your website. You can have multiple teams on it. So if you're a larger firm and you have an intake team, for example, you can have multiple people available. It's really fantastic. It just keeps getting better, and I use it absolutely every day. So check that out. You don't have to be on the new Outlook to check it out, but it ties in really nicely with the new Outlook. The schedule set. This is probably something that we've all used. Often we're working after hours, don't necessarily want to bug somebody else on our team, especially support staff, that kind of stuff, after hours. This replaces the delay send feature. So if you use the delay send feature in Outlook Classic, you've probably at some point been burned by the delay send happens in Outlook. So if Outlook isn't open at the time that you told it to send, then it's not going to send until you open Outlook. Super frustrating, right? We leave Outlook open, computer updates, Outlook doesn't open after it reboots. All those emails we had scheduled to go out at 9 a.m. while you were busy with something else didn't go out until noon when you opened up your computer. Super frustrating. With the new Outlook, this integrates with the server. So once you do the schedule send, notice they've changed the name, it will happen whether your Outlook is open or not. This is the exact same as the experience with Outlook on the web. It's a small distinction, but it's a game changer. For me personally, I never really used delay send just because I didn't trust it. Sometimes Outlook closes, whatever, things went wrong. If the email absolutely had to go out, I was going to check anyways. It kind of defeated the purpose. I now use schedule send. It's great. I have a young child. I work odd hours. I don't want to be sending emails to people at 10 p.m. at night. I can schedule them to go out at 9:30 in the morning. It's great. You'll see that it's right there now on the new Outlook. When you go to send an email, there's actually a drop down. You'll see there's just send, which same old send. There's schedule send, which is the feature I'm talking about. And there's a mail merge, which I'm not going to cover in depth here because not a ton of people do mail merges. But if you do a lot of mail merges, I definitely recommend, again, checking out the new Outlook. It's kind of easier. I find it more intuitive. Anyways, the new mail merge than kind of how it was before. This also integrates with your working hours. And I think the old Outlook is starting to do this as well. Some of the new Outlook features, they are backporting to the old one. But if you're drafting an email and it's outside of your working hours, you should see what's called a tooltip pop up that says, hey, this is outside your working hours. Would you like to schedule it to send within your working hours? So I love this feature. Use it all the time. Absolutely fantastic. Another big one, and this is great, is that on the new Outlook, on Outlook for Web, and the newer versions of Outlook on Android and iOS, your email signature finally, after 20 years of feature requests to Microsoft, now synchronizes across your devices. It's fantastic. You don't have to set up your email signature on every device. You don't have to have a third-party tool that you're paying for. You're paying your IT company for to manage your email signatures. It's all just there. You get a new computer, your email signature is there. It's great. So settings, accounts, choose the account. If you only have one, it'll just go to that account automatically, and you can set your email signature in there. One of those little quality of life things, especially from the perspective of an IT company, that for folks that we have on the new Outlook, we no longer have to set that up when they get a new computer. So it's really nice. And for a branding consistency, we do see a lot of firms where different people will have different style signatures and stuff like that. It just makes it a little easier to set it. And it's the same, again, everywhere. So people kind of don't think about it, and you can keep your brand consistency that way. So yeah, these are the features that I'm using the most. Again, delay send is great. There's a couple other ones. The focused inbox. This is something that's not necessarily exclusive to the new Outlook, but they are sort of pushing a little bit more, and they're integrating it into their design language a little bit more. It's one of those things that if you used it a year or two ago when it first came out, it wasn't great. It didn't really do a great job of focusing, and I would see spam coming in, and this is something you need to focus on, and then emails from people within my company not making it. So I did turn it off. It is getting better. It probably is on a case-by-case basis. Try it out if you like the idea of a focused inbox. I would say, like anything, don't trust it implicitly. You're still going to spend quite a bit of time looking at your non-focused items, and the occasional thing that you think is quite important and is quite obviously important doesn't necessarily make it through. But it can be good at least to give you a head start on your day. If you're coming into 100 emails every day, at least go through your focused inbox first. Probably going to hit 90% of the important ones through that, and then you can kind of quickly go through the rest. Another one that, depending on how you organize things, if you're like me, pinned emails. It's absolutely fantastic. We're all supposed to have these timekeeping systems and tracking systems and project management, and all that stuff's great. But if you're like me, and if you're like most people I know, you do use your inbox as perhaps a little bit of a to-do list, even if you're not supposed to be. In this case, pin emails is great. You can pin an email so it's right there at the top, and you'll know to action it right away. Again, if you're using your inbox as a to-do list. So again, a lot of this stuff becomes more obvious as well in the new Outlook. You can right click on emails to get to this stuff. But like I said, with the send, it's now there when you go to click send, and your working hours pop-ups and all that stuff. So these kind of tightly integrated features, they're bringing them more to the forefront than they were in classic Outlook. I will say from a muscle memory perspective as well, I think Nolan's probably on the same page as me. We try to test new technology, and when new Outlook came out, I think we gave it a test run, and we just turned it off. So it wasn't great. Yeah, it wasn't great. And you might all be in the same boat where this is awful. Nothing works. Yeah, absolutely, that was the case, and still is to some degree. They released it, in my opinion, far too early with far too few features, especially ones that apply to people working in the legal profession or people working in enterprise. They really didn't seem to understand what their customers were actually doing. We've both been driving it as our daily drivers now coming up to this presentation, and I have to say, I think I'm sold. I think I'm on board. It's pretty good, and I think I'm going to keep using it. So maybe this is a good time to switch over and give it a try. And like I said, you can always switch back if it's not working properly.
Yeah, because originally I found that it was very simple. The features weren't there, and now like they're slowly populating. And like I was saying before, that like everything that looked a little bubbly and like a little Fisher Price. And then now, a week later, I'm just like, I couldn't. Now the old one just looks archaic.
Yeah.
I had the same sentiment moving from Windows 10 to 11, and now when I look at 10, I'm just like, that was so long ago.
Yeah, exactly. The start button moving. I thought it would be a big deal, and it became muscle memory in about 10 minutes. So. Yeah. Okay, so now we got to go with the bat. We're not here we don't work for Microsoft. We work often in spite of Microsoft, I would say is probably more accurate. So this isn't perfect, and there's many, many, many good reasons to not move over. The first and the biggest one we get, and I will say that our number one request as an IT support organization regarding new Outlook is for us to tell people how to switch back to the old Outlook. And that's totally fine. One of the biggest reasons that people can't adopt or aren't adopting the new one is plugins. So PC Law, for example, this is a software that is not getting updated, not truly. And the plugins work for the old Outlook. To my knowledge, there is not a plugin for the new one, and there never will be. And there are many, many software suites, especially again within the legal profession, where they are otherwise not broken, working perfectly for firms. There's absolutely no need for a firm to change. However, these plugins don't work with Outlook. That is, again, the number one reason that people are sticking with the old one is these plugins. Don't worry, Outlook Classic, as they're calling it now, is not going anywhere. At the moment, the support is promised until 2029. I would be absolutely surprised if that date does not get pushed out further. There are enterprises using old code that are many, many years away from switching to the new Outlook. These are some of Microsoft's biggest customers. They are not going to remove one of the key products that they're using. I could be wrong. They could retire it in 2029, but I will eat my hat if that happens. So it's not going anywhere. The downside is, as people are moving to more modern software, especially web native software, this is stuff that you just access in a browser, like a Clio versus a PC Law. These new softwares are most likely not going to make the effort of coding plugins for the old Outlook. They literally probably don't have people on staff that could do that. It's old. It's old software. It's an arcane bygone era, and when you're coding for the web, it's just a different profession, different type of coding, all that kind of stuff. So at some point as a firm, the painful thing is that you will probably come to a head where you'll have new software that you're trying to adopt that you really do want to use plugins for Outlook. And this does apply across the whole Office suite as well, but we are focusing on Outlook today, where you say, we really want that new plugin, but we've got old software that's got the old plugin. What do we do? That'll be the fork in the road for most firms where they en masse adopt one versus the other. It's not necessarily, again, because it's going to go out of support. It's just because the new hot latest software requires the new Outlook. Case in point, we've seen that with FileVine. and I'm not sure if they've rectified that and gotten the old plugin working for Outlook Classic yet. But that was, again, a fork in the road where we had some firms saying, yeah, we have to update. We don't want to. We don't like it, but we need this plugin to work. It's critically important. So they moved over. So that's what I would look forward to with that. When purchasing new software in your firm, you'll have to think about coexisting with older stuff. We have tons of firms that still use Leap, Time Manners, PC Law, even if it's just for legacy stuff. They're haven't closed the books for the last few years or whatever, old firms, things they've purchased, whatever. Lots of good reasons to have this old software. So make sure you're thinking about that as you adopt new software, that it might not necessarily be able to coexist with both. I suppose in theory, you could always just switch back and forth between Outlook New and Outlook Classic. But if you're like me and Outlook is like a religion and just this thing that you've been using for so long, you're going to just, it's muscle memory and you're just going to want to stick with one version. So again, you're going to want to plan for that. So yeah, key takeaways. Again, there's a lot to like about the new interface. It's much better than it was probably the last time you checked it. And if you try it now and you get through those first couple bosses of getting Zoom working again and getting your office hours set up and taking advantage of some of the newer stuff, and you still don't like it, switch back. I can promise you, when you switch again in 6 months, a lot of those missing features will be back. They are definitely adding the missing features. They're kind of doing it on a case-by-case basis of who screams the loudest. So don't be afraid to smash that feedback button there. They actually, I don't know, it's probably going to an AI at this point, but the more people that say they need this feature, the more likely it is that they will prioritize it and get it into the new Outlook. Interestingly enough, I do have to say some of the great points, they are backporting to the old one. So my inner conspiracy theorist says perhaps they will keep the old one around for a really long time. But again, the internal politics at Microsoft is a whole other webinar.
It all depends on when Wells Fargo decides to change.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, something like that.
That's what it comes down to. Yeah. And also, if I may add, getting rid of that reminders pop-up.
Yes.
Game changer. I am just a happier person after I switched over and got rid of that, which, I need to look internally about why that might be. But that one pop-up, just having it just over to the side, just integrated with your Outlook is great. It doesn't pop up sort of randomly or like sometimes if I have a meeting for tomorrow, it'll be like, here's your 24-hour notice while I'm typing. Not anymore. New Outlook, it's gone. It's just, knocked over to the side.
So yeah, what Nolan's talking about is the separate window that pops up with your calendar reminders and task reminders that always pops up on seemingly a random delay after you open Outlook. Sometimes it's right away, sometimes it's a minute later when you started doing stuff. No problem. That's been moved and now integrated in the new Outlook, which now follows the design language for all on the web Microsoft products, that it's at the top right, and there's a little red dot that'll pop up to let you know all that information is still there. It's just not interrupting you. So it's more of a standard notification, kind of the same thing that you would have on your phone or a Mac OS or that kind of thing. Okay, so yeah, I hope this was enough information. We always struggle with how much to put in or how little to put in. But again, we just wanted to make sure that you were equipped to just get started with Outlook, the new Outlook, if you wanted to give it a test drive. I'm just going to pull up the Q&A to see if we got any questions. Okay. Oh yeah, we got lots. Okay, sorry. Can you modify the booking link availability? Yes, Emily, absolutely you can. So it will by default go to your working hours. Within the booking system, you can create custom booking links, and you can set another layer of availability on top of that. So you've got a default booking link that just goes based on your working hours and your calendar. That's just the standard one. But you can go in and create a new one, and you can say, I only want this link to show availability within the windows that I've said, as well as when I'm available within my calendar. So for example, you've got a client intake that you only want to do Tuesday and Thursday afternoons. That's great. You can set that link up. That'll work. And when people click on it, they will only see your availability on Tuesday and Thursdays. Plus, if you have something in your calendar during one of those times, it will still block that out for you. So think about it like adding layers of sort of like filters based on what you want to do. So hopefully that answers your question. Jeffrey, the feature is called Microsoft Bookings. And if you go to portal.office.com, you will see your apps icon in the top left. You can click on that and bookings will be in there. It just play around with it and definitely test it out. But it's great once you get it working. We've got MS Bookings. Yeah, thank you. Thanks, Emily, for answering that. Karen says, I currently use Zoom to schedule meetings, and when I do the meeting, it's automatically recorded in the classic Outlook. How do I change Zoom to record in the new Outlook? Are you talking about the actual like meeting recording, like the video recording, or are you talking about having it go into your calendar? I'm not sure. That might be a Zoom setting. Yeah, so that's probably a setting, that would be a setting within Zoom. And my best guess would be that it's not in the Zoom app. My best guess would be you need to go to zoom.us, like go to the Zoom website, sign in on the Zoom website, like in Chrome or Firefox or Edge. And then there's a ton of settings that you can only see on the site. It's absolutely infuriating, including some very basic settings. Like if you use Zoom as your phone system, your voicemail for some reason, at least as of the last time I looked, can only be recorded there. Yeah,
only from there.
Yeah, so that's one of those things. Actually, I think I've got about 10 feature requests in on Zoom to put some of this more daily driver stuff into the app. Yeah, so you use Zoom on the app as well. So yeah, the way I look at it is use the, you don't need to use the web portal for it. You can just set the setting in the web portal. So you should have recording settings should be available. Again, so it's like Chrome, sign into Zoom in Chrome, go to your settings in there, and you'll see a ton of settings that you don't see anywhere else. And that's where you can set your default recording settings. And then those recordings are stored in Zoom. So then Zoom will give you those recordings after the meeting's done. And again, it's not too bad because you go in once, and again, you don't have to do the meeting through the browser. You just set the setting through the browser and then continue on as usual.
Yeah, set it once. And then also Zoom has this odd thing with the language where instead of settings, sometimes it'll be like general and then policy, or like meeting and then policy. But there's also a settings button, so you just sort of have to like navigate around.
Yeah, so Karen, yes. The setting that we're talking about would be to default the recordings. If you have recordings turned off by default, then you would need to, I don't know the exact specifics about turning a recording on when you book the meeting. It's not something I do often enough to answer right now, but I know you can definitely, turn on the recording.
I think there is a meetings recording policy. I could be wrong. It's been a little while, but yeah.
Yeah. Sorry, Karen, it's like a one-way conversation here. So I'm sure this is something we could fix for you very quickly.
Yeah, no, I'm curious now.
Yeah. So the actual scheduling of the event, it should be going into your Outlook calendar either way. So if you're using the Zoom plugin in Outlook and you're creating the calendar event using the Zoom plugin, it does go into your Outlook calendar, at least by default. So if it's not, there might be something wrong. If you're scheduling something straight in Zoom and it's going into your Zoom calendar, that will not show up in your Outlook calendar unless you go in again. You can integrate your Zoom with your Office 365 by going through the Zoom settings. There's a place to integrate your Office 365 account, and then it will synchronize the calendars, and that should go two ways. Yeah. So I think I think you're probably scheduling the meetings right in Zoom. So again, try adding the plugin. Try doing it through Outlook. It should go into Outlook that way, or you can set up the sync. There's a couple different ways to do it. So I would do the sync. That's what I do for myself. I actually sync across a couple different identities and, well, not identities, a couple different organizations. I'm the same person everywhere, but a couple different roles, and my Zoom as well. So set that sync up in there, and I think that will solve your problem. Yeah, sorry, Karen, we totally took you down the wrong path here with the recording, but I think we got there. So I have a few extra minutes. If anybody does have any questions, feel free to pose them. I'm happy to stay on for a little bit longer. We will have a full recording of this that I believe will get sent to you once we receive it. It will also go up on our website. If you do have any specific questions, I'm just going to move to our contact info, which you should already have, but here is our info if you need it. Any questions, feel free to shoot us an email and we will do our best to answer.